"And we tuned the piano, not the room. I tune pianos for a living and people for the rest of it. Pianos are easier. They complain in frequencies, and if you listen long enough, the complaint becomes a map. People complain in stories. Sometimes the story is camouflage. My wife, Lara, sings 3 nights a week at the Vesper Club, a narrow room that believes brass lamps are a personality. She does standards, and the not quite standards she writes on napkins and forgets to throw away. The new pianist, Raf to the bartender and whoever wants to sound like they were invited, showed up in February with a scarf that did too much work and hands that made quiet look rehearsed. "It's just a sub until Milo is back," Lara said, shrugging, pouring tea into a cup we stole from a diner with a crack that looks like a coastline. "He listens. Real listening, like a metronome with mercy. I don't get jealous of talent. I do get careful around men who think giving attention is a gift they own. On Mondays, I pull the Vesper's old Steinway open and set the temperament across the middle, thin wrench on fat pins, the soundboard breathing like a large animal that likes the leash. Raf came in early the first week and watched me work like I had secrets he could use in his left hand. "You mind if I play while you tune?" he asked. "If you can play past the complaints," I said, and he smiled like we were co-conspirators and not tradespeople trying to make a room honest. He played soft, things with too much rain in them for daylight. I leaned over A4 and made the world 440 on purpose. Lara arrived in a coat that treats February as a dare and kissed my cheek the way people kiss when they agree on breakfast. "You two met," she said. "We did," Raf said, not offering a hand because mine was married to the wrench. "His A doesn't lie. Neither does my E," I said, which made Lara laugh in the place where my jokes try to earn tips. The first week with Raf the sets ran long. Not by much. 10 minutes, 15. Enough that the bartender started offering after-hours tea as a bit. When Lara came home, she smelled like microphone foam and the day's last good decision. She fell asleep fast, like a song that respects the clock. On Thursday, a tab notification pinged my phone at 1:09 a.m. 2 charges from Vesper, 12 minutes apart. We share the card because tips are an ecosystem. I don't pretend ignorance, I try to practice trust like scales. Still, I lay there listening to our apartment hum and imagine the club's red exit sign considering its options. She came in at 1:40, toes already bare, hair up with a pen, the ink stain on her finger like a flag. "We ran a tune twice," she said, unprompted, dropping her bag the way you drop a verdict. "Raf reharmonized body and soul so it stops flirting and starts telling the truth." "I like truth," I said. "I prefer it before two." She leaned her hip against the counter and nodded, accepting a constraint like a key change. "We'll tighten it, that's fair." She put her hands on my shoulders and squeezed in that way that says I'm here and I'm not asking for permission to be. The second week the Steinway lost its temper on low D, a woolly growl that made walking bass lines behave like gossip. Raf offered to hold a lamp while I adjusted the hammer spacing, and I let him because his hands were useful and light. He smelled like cedar and someone else's laundry detergent. We didn't talk. We calibrated the same animal. Lara rehearsed, tossing scraps of melody to test how the room would feed them back. At the end she sang half of my funny Valentine to the empty chairs, and the empty chairs told the truth by not clapping. "Okay," she said. "No ghosts tonight. I'm telling you all this so you understand the part that matters later. We were all doing our jobs like grown-ups who suspect magic but don't rely on it for rent." On Saturday the club streamed a set for donors because the owner believes generosity is a camera angle. I watched on my phone from our couch between fixing a sticky pedal report and Googling whether our humidifier was a liar. The stream stayed on after the applause because someone forgot to end it. You know how this goes. Lara stepped downstage to talk to the owner. Raf leaned on the fallboard and, in the sloppy privacy of an unattended lens, reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind Lara's ear as she turned back. She didn't jump. She did take his wrist and move it a patient inch away without making it theater. I stared at my chemistry of water search results and thought about middle C. It doesn't care that composers argue about temperament. It just shows up at the same place every time if you ask it nicely and don't lie to it with heat. When Lara came home, she put her head under my chin and talked to my shirt. "Raph did a thing he shouldn't do," she said. I reminded him which part of me belongs to metronomes and which part doesn't. "I saw," I said. "The stream forgot to end." She stepped back, didn't blush, didn't audition for innocence. I told him body is not stage, hair is not sheet music. If your hands need work, I'm married to a tuner. He laughed because that's his reflex and then said sorry because that's his mother. "Do you want me to say anything?" I asked. "I want you to write me a rule," she said, and there it was, the thing she does when she needs to stop improvising. We write rules on staff paper because it helps both of us pretend they're songs. I wrote, 1. No uninvited touch even if the room is clapping. 2. No unplanned afters. If the song needs surgery, book a rehearsal. 3. If the floor tilts, say tilt out loud. She added, 4. If an apology is a chord, it has to resolve, not hang. We taped it to the cupboard behind the turmeric because turmeric judges less. Monday, Raph came early again. He rinsed 2 cups, looked at the floor, then at me. "I overstepped," he said. "It's my worst habit. I treat intimacy like I invented generosity." He sucked in a breath. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I said it to Lara. I'm saying it to you because I touched your life with a musician's excuse." "It mattered that you said it," I said. "It matters more that your hands learned something." He nodded, smiled a little, the kind of smile men do when they survive a small surgery, and went to find charts to lean behind. The night's set was good. Lara, not quite standards, found a home between Stardust and a samba that apologized for nothing. After the charge hit at 12:07. 1 drink paid, a line in a ledger that didn't shout subtext. We did okay for a while. I posted rehearsal video stills to the Vespers socials and felt proud without being a PR person. Raph and Lara learned to count nods the way you count bars. I tuned 2 schools, a church Baldwin that hated being looked at, and a private apartment Bluthner that looked like a yacht. My hands smelled like graphite and someone else's century. Lara bought a new notebook with staves and used it for lists because she said groceries look more dignified in G major. Then the club added a Thursday, Composer's Corner. 2 tunes written during the week performed with whatever the room could hold. "We might stay after to argue harmonies," Lara said. "I'll text first." She meant it. Thursday the text came at 11:10, staying 30. We're on a second bridge that thinks it's a refrain. At 11:41, 5 more promised. At 12:03, walking. I heard our hallway and felt my shoulders put their coats away. But there was a different Thursday a week later that didn't behave. A snowstorm bullied the city into sincerity. The Vesper lost half its audience and found the other half generous. At 10:57, Raph texted me from the club's back prep kitchen because he had my number now. "We're closing early before the plows forget us." "I'll walk Lara to the corner." I answered, "Thanks." At 11:20, a second charge came through for exactly $9, which is a T if you're honest and an excuse if you're not. At 11:37, a third charge, 8. I stared at the numbers like they knew how to sing. Lara arrived at midnight with snow in her hair and a look that said the weather controlled everything else. "We warmed up to leave," she said immediately, toes already on the bath mat.